So you can reach 3 of these bolts without removing anything, but the last bolt is the one that's hard to get to. So this is the reason why you have to remove this whole piece just to change the water pump. Let's get straight to it. 2013 Cadillac ATS. Today we're replacing the water pump, and this is what the water pump should look like. And here's the water pump gasket. The first thing we're going to want to do is drain this coolant. So we're underneath the vehicle and we need to drop this flap right here. So there's two 10mm bolts in this one on this side and one on that end. It's looking like there may be more on yours, but right now I'm just looking at two. So let's go ahead and get those off and then we can drop this flap. All right, so after that, I was able to get my container up in there. Now you can drop this whole flap if you want. There's a bunch of, it looked like 8 or 7mm bolts around there. But I was able to get my container right where it needs to be. And so I'm going ahead and I'm draining my coolant now. The coolant was flowing pretty slow until I opened this up a little bit. And once I opened that up, it started to flow a little more. So hopefully that helps. Getting this piece off is pretty easy. All you gotta do is push this tab back and twist off. Just go ahead and twist and pull until it's off like that. All right, we need to loosen up this hose clamp here, and we'll be able to pull this up like that. Pop that up. And once we loosen this hose clamp and remove this hose, then we can just take this and rest it up that way. So pretty much just like this, it's out of the way. I didn't even have to disconnect this wire. So now I can leave the battery pretty much connected since I'm not disconnecting any wires. And now I can focus on removing this. Alright, to get this up, there's a hose clamp right here that needs to be loosened. And once we loosen that, we can go ahead and pull that off of the throttle body. And so once that's removed, now I can clearly see my water pump. You can see it there. That's the water pump that we're removing right there. Alright, so I'm going to remove this belt now. I have my 1/2-inch ratchet here. So I'm going to go counterclockwise like that. It's going to loosen the belt, as you can see. And now I can go ahead and pull that belt off. Alright, so I moved this box over here now that we got the belt out, because we're going to be working over here from now on. So we got to get this heat shield out. There's a 10mm bolt here. And then there's one here and here that I already removed these two, but you gotta remove those to get this heat shield up. Once you get that shield off, you will see this pipe here. So you need to remove this flange. So there's two 10mm bolts, one here, one there. I already have my ratchet on there. So I'm gonna remove those two 10mm bolts now. Okay, I got the transfer pipe loose and this gasket was underneath. So just take that gasket up and put it somewhere safe. And you can see that it's loose right now, so it's not going to be a problem anymore for us. Okay, so you can see here I removed the radiator hose as well. So now I'm going to focus on getting this whole component off. The water pump and the thermostat housing. So you can see those two 13mm bolts right there. I'm going to get those two off, and then there is one on the bottom that we need to get to as well. So you can see it right down there. We need to get that one off as well. So that's three 13mm bolts that we need to remove in order to get this off. So the whole piece comes off like this pretty much. All right, so this is the part that goes up against the block. This is where the 3 bolts that you have to remove. So of course we're gonna have to change this gasket here. And now here are the 4 bolts that we have to get to change the water pump. So you can reach 3 of these bolts without removing anything, but the last bolt is the one that's hard to get to. So this is the reason why you have to remove this whole piece just to change the water pump. So I'm going to go ahead and start to take off these 4 bolts here, and then we can get to it. Okay, I was able to get the old pump off, and this is the new pump. But first, I'm going to clean up around this surface here where the gasket sits. So let's go ahead and do that now, and then we'll come and get this together. All right, so I got it cleaned up the best I could, and I have my gasket on the new pump. So I'm gonna go ahead and put them back together, and now I'm going to put these screws back in and tighten them down. Okay, so once you have your new water pump on there, that's what it's gonna look like. So we can go ahead and start getting this back in. So this is the surface, the maintenance surface here. So let's go ahead and clean that up right there before we get that water pump back on. So going back together is pretty much the opposite of when we took it off. So I already got the 3 bolts in. I got the 2 top bolts in, and I have the bottom bolt in. Now we can go ahead and get this upper flange back on with our 2 10mm bolts. But don't forget your gasket. So I'm going to put this gasket back underneath there and get my 2 10mm bolts in here. All right, so since I have that flange on, I can just go ahead and get this belt on and get out the way. So same thing, I'm gonna go counterclockwise and then loop this belt over that pulley. All right, so just like that, our belt is back on. Now we can go ahead and start getting our hose and stuff on. Okay, so I have the hose on now, and I have everything plugged in. I have the heat shield on. I plugged the O2 sensor back in. The belt is on, everything is good. So now the only thing left to do is to put this this box back over here. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so I have all my breathing tubes back on. I have the part back on the throttle body. Everything is tightened down. So let's just go ahead and seal up this radiator. So we're just gonna put this drain plug back in. And then we're gonna put these bottom pieces back on, these little underneath compartments. For this one, it was just 2 10mm bolts, so we're gonna put those back in. All right, so now that we have our bottom pieces on and the radiator is sealed, that's pretty much it. We can go ahead and lower the vehicle. Now the very last step is, of course, to fill this up. So we got some 50/50 coolant here ready to use. So we're gonna go ahead and start to fill this up. So that's it, guys. Coolant's full, water pump is changed, everything is good. So that is how you change the water pump on a Cadillac ATS.